Hey, everybody. Welcome to Lunch with Gigi. And we're going through double secrets all week. And so it's good to see everybody out there. I see we already have 62 people on already. So it's very cool. We can have lunch with Gigi and learn more about our doubles game. Gigi, I know you're a little under the weather this week. Are you getting any better?
Slowly. The good news is I'm not contagious over the internet,
That's it.
so
So you
we can
guys don't
hang
have.
out and
Yeah, you don't have to put your mask on, guys. You can watch
you know.
Gigi and from the safety of your own home. We have Tennis House on Devore, and let's
Sweet.
see here. Yeah, I'm actually going to go to a conference this weekend and speak. Gigi, we miss you this year at Tennis House Synopsis. Therefore, Peter will be there. Yeah, I'm going to be there.
Cool. When
Mike,
is it?
this weekend. I'm leaving Thursday on a
Got
plane.
it.
We're going to do some live streams out there. Michael Rogers says, morning here, breakfast with Pete and Gigi.
Oh, he's in California.
Yeah, Michael's really improved his game a lot over the years. He's really into tennis. So, guys, come on, say hello as you come on in. And before we get into, we're going to go through today, guys. Gigi has some really cool formations you can use in doubles. Some of them you probably heard of, but as she gets deeper into it, there's a couple that I'm like, wow, that's a pretty good idea. I never even thought to have my students do that. So I think you're going to see some unique stuff. Before we get into your formations, Gigi, I want you to go over again that 1, 2, 3. I don't know who saw the poaching play that I sent out. So if you didn't see the poaching play, I can tell you that I had 2 people come to me, 3, 5 players, never did the 1, 2, 3 poaching formula that you have. We ran it, and it was easy for them to
Works like
do,
a charm.
and it works easy, and it's super effective. And sometimes even as I was feeding them, as I was looking at the ball and I went to go hit, because I'm just kind of setting them up and stuff. But sometimes they surprised me. I'd look up, I'm like, oh wow, they moved. So
Yeah.
it's pretty good to where your opponents are not going to be able to figure out what you're doing, no matter how many times you run it, and it's easy to run, and no one thinks to do this. So um,
Want to talk about it?
yeah, let's talk about it.
Yeah. So first, I like to tell the joke that as we age, we get slower, but the ball does not. Right. So our ability to poach becomes increasingly more difficult because poaching is a physics problem. We have two moving objects. You're moving, the ball's moving, and we had an interception point somewhere that's moving. So what's your velocity? What's the velocity of the moving object, which is the ball, and how far away is the interception point? And very often that's unsolvable. Like you're not going to be fast enough for the speed of the ball to get there. So and very often, like more often than not, that's the case. Like really with the pros, we're taking off before the ball's hit. You go on instinct, you go on tendencies. If you wait for that ball to hit, even the pros who are as fast as anybody is, you just can't get there. The ball just moves too fast. So what I came up with was this 1, 2, 3 poaching formula, which is to tell your partner when you're going. Like you give them a number in the back, behind your back of a 1, a 2, or a 3. And I don't want it to go above 3 because we know from brain games, Kirk Shaughnessy, that the rallies in doubles rarely go beyond 8 shots. So it's usually like 70% of the points end in the first 4 shots, and then the other 20% of the points end in between 5 and 8. So if you have a rally that's already gone to 4 shots, that's kind of unusual. So and this works for the return. Usually we always think of poaching in terms of the server. Like the server's always thinking of poaching, but this works for the return team as well. Like you're returning when you're okay. So when the opponent hits the ball after the serve, obviously you can't poach on the serve. So when they hit 1 is when they hit the ball after the serve, you're going to poach on that, or the second one, or the third one. And then the timing on this, it's really, I almost leave when the ball's bouncing, unless it's super slow, right? That on a moderately paced ball, you leave when the ball's bouncing, because the goal of that poach is to make them change their mind. Because we have all this data that shows that players, and I won't repeat that study because it's already somewhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we have all this data showing that when players change their mind, we become less accurate. So you are trying to just disrupt and be an annoyance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
anything.
That's really cool. So you guys get that, and what's powerful about that is, everybody always thinks, okay, the first ball that's hit, you're going to poach or stay, and then after that, teams kind of become boring and stagnant. Where if you're always going, okay, we're going to go on ball 1, ball 2, or ball 3, now all of a sudden they don't know when you're going to poach. I mean, I know even me playing doubles in college and 5-0 plus doubles, usually if I hit the return and I got it past the person they didn't poach, I kind of thought, okay, well, they're kind of done poaching for the point. They didn't go. You're not expect
Right.
there's only those rare players that every time you get ready to hit the ball, you're worried if they're going to go. And those players are intimidating, because occasionally you play those players like, man, every ball I hit, this person might leave, and it is an uneasy feeling. And you now being a 3-5 player out there, or 4-0 player, you can run this play, and your partner's got your back because when you're going, they're switching, so you don't have to worry. So they're saying, wait, where can I find this poaching video on the channel? So what I did is it's part of TennisCon 7. You can find it in the master classes. And Gigi's also made another great video that's going to come out in a couple of days. And so if you get a lifetime membership, we put it as a free promo video, but if you get a lifetime membership, you can get that. If you have not got a lifetime membership, or you have everybody who's on the live stream, when you become a lifetime member, or you're already a lifetime member, that's the bonus of showing up to these live streams. After live streams don't count. But if you upgrade today off Gigi's link, I'm going to send you out this TennisCon 7 towel. And it's a great towel because you can get it all wet and wipe yourself down. And, it's great. Yeah. So
yeah, and also if you sign up with my live stream, you enter the raffle to win a free camp spot. And I don't know if you follow me, but I don't really give free camp spots away at will. They're $3,000 normally. All my camps are getting well sold out. So I added camps in Cincinnati and in Washington. I'm taking applications for that. So if anybody wants to attend those, go to my website and fill in the application. But if you sign out with the link, I'm gonna give away one free camp spot. We're gonna raffle it off amongst all the people who sign up through my link. So
well, you're giving away 2 free camp spots because
right, we're giving TennisCon Live. Yep,
TennisCon Live, which we'll go through.
But TennisCon Live is for everybody who signs up for TennisCon, right? And then my camp spot is for just people who sign up through my camp link.
Yep.
So
awesome.
Yeah.
Somebody said I did last night off Gigi. So yeah, there we go. All right, cool.
You're on the list.
Okay. So now we're going to get into formations, and some of you guys might have heard of a couple of these, but also the reason why. I think sometimes people just get into formations like, let's try something different. Let's go Aussie or let's go I, but are you really using it at the right time? Are you really serving to the right places to make those formations work? Because you can try a different formation, you serve to the wrong spot, and it actually works against you, right, Gigi?
Burnt, yeah. So before I go into the actual formations, I want people to type in the chat why you would do a formation. And then before I talk about the different types of formations, I want to hear what people have to say. And then also I want to talk about where to serve while I give him a chance to answer that question. Obviously, everybody's going to say, because you don't want to hit the ball cross, your partner's got a good cross-court return, you want to make it hit down the line. That's the obvious one. But there's 5 other ones. Let's see how many y'all can get. Now, one thing I want to talk about before I go through all the 6 reasons is where to serve when you're doing a formation. And this is a misconception. I think pros in general, teaching pros in general, make the mistake of coaching what they see the pros do. And when pros do Australian RI formation, or when I was doing Australian formation, I would do it for various reasons. But one of them was to get this serve straight down this tee, so I could get the person reaching. Or if I was doing it to the outside, or the do side rather, that's a do side for you, right? I found it easier, or it is easier to hit a serve to the back end if you're standing here than it is to hit a serve to the back end if you're standing here, because it's the angle the ball is going towards the player. So if you had a player who liked to run around and hit forehands, like Liz Smiley comes to mind. Probably you never heard of her, but she had a huge forehand. So I would stand here and I could get it straight down the tee. So that was one reason. Now, pros have huge serves, right? So if you don't have a huge serve, what's going to happen if you hit the ball to the tee? This opponent's going to come in and they're going to step in and they're going to hit this ball cross court rip, right? Forehand cross court is running away from you, so that's a hard get. You're going to have to run a long distance to get that ball. So I recommend for recreational players that don't have a big serve to hit the serve wide or to the body. So if you hit the serve wide, then it comes back down the line towards you, and if you hit it to the body, then it also comes back towards you. Same thing on this side. A little bit, you have to be a little more careful on this side because it's uh, actually this is a backhand, right? So, but you're going to your backhand if you're righty. Either way, here, like backhand cross court goes this way, you're running to a backhand, and if you hit the forehand, if you hit wider to the body here, it's where you have to be careful because if somebody has a huge forehand on the line, they could get you. So body's good here. Backhand's not good unless they have a weak backhand, right? So so there's always the basic reason you do thing, and then there's always the exceptions based on your opponent's tendencies. What do we have any answers here? Let's see. What are the comments?
The comments are pretty good. By the way, we're over 100 people, so this is pretty awesome.
Great.
To switch things up, we are getting killed and need to change momentum.
I like it.
Yeah. Serving left-handed in the deuce court, I can have my opponents play Aussie, can force the returner
to the forehand. So you do it so that your opponent, so you're giving yourself your best ground stroke. So if your forehand's better, you have a better forehand. You're a righty. This is a forehand here in the middle. So you do Australian. Listen, if you have a weak backhand, there's no reason why you should ever once do this formation. Just don't do it. Just don't do it ever. Just do this every single solitary time. Get used to hitting your forehand. You have your partner with the forehand volley. You got your forehand here. They're poaching with backhands, right? So just change your mindset. Don't think that you just have to serve cross court because it's doubles.
Yeah.
And this is not intimidating. I mean, I formation is intimidating. I formation is when you duck down and you have to come up like you see the pros do. But this person's standing over here, out of the way. They're standing over here. You're not going over them. You're not going on top of them. You're going around them. They're not in your line of vision. Much less in this formation, right? So just do this every time if you don't have a good backhand.
Yeah. I mean,
what else do we get?
Well, there's lots of good comments. I mean, people at Tennis House is commenting. Lynn Miller's commenting.
Oh, we got that.
Robert, always to the tee. Good serve set.
That was the one that Davor just said. When you do this, also this is the forehand volley poach, right? So now if you're doing this way, that's a backhand volley poach. If you're doing Australian, they have a forehand volley poach. So that's the other reason to do it. If your opponent has a better outside ground stroke than you, their backhand's better than your backhand, their forehand's better than your forehand. Do Australian, go to the other ground stroke, and then really, frankly, to disrupt the opponent's rhythm. You do it so that they're not consistently hitting cross court returns. So they have to hit cross court down the line, cross court down the line, and then you're going to be more inconsistent if you have to mix up your returns.
Yeah. Several years ago, I played at the Tennis Fantasy Camp out in Texas, where you play for the legends, and Roy Emerson was my coach, and we were playing this other team. And me and my partner thought, like, we're playing good and we're getting tuned. Like, we got tuned in the first set. And the guy.
Who were you playing?
Huh?
Who were you playing against?
We were playing like other higher level people at the camp. And so you play for a team, and like Roy Emerson was one of my coaches and Rod Laver was one of my coaches. It's really cool. And so after the first set, Roy Emerson said to us, go Ozzy. That guy has an incredible backhand cross court because he can pull it. And like, usually that's my strength. I can serve that lefty serve out wide, and they're usually late on the backhand. But I mean, he was crushing balls. Like, I would be serving, I hit a good serve, and I wouldn't even be at the service line yet, and the ball would be by me. I mean, he was cranking. And so we tried it, and it was so incredible how it turned the match around. The guy could not, as great as his backhand cross court was, he could not hit down the line. He would either miss it down the line, or he'd hit a high volley where I could come in. I even had time on his backhand return all of a sudden to run around and hit a forehand volley. That's how bad his backhand return was. He went from smoking it down the line, cross court, to his backhand down line sucked. Maybe he hit like 2 or 3 good backhand down lines after that. So it is amazing.
And then he lost his confidence, and that was that, right?
Yeah, and then we won the match.
Part of it, right? Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, we won it. So anyway,
every player has a solution. Every player has, whether you have the skill set to beat that player is a different story, but everybody has weaknesses. Even the best players in the world have weaknesses. It's a matter of finding them, right?
Yeah. So let's go into a couple more formations. Guys, we're going to be on about 30 to 40 minutes today.
All right. So here's I want to talk about staying back on serve because this is something you see a lot now on tour. When I first started coaching high school or um, college, I was coaching at the University of South Florida, and this is 2001, so it's 4 years after retiring, and I was still sort of like adamant that doubles was played a certain way. Like you got a certain volley, you got to come to the net. Um, you uh, play the fundamentals, and having a player stand back here was like, are you kidding me? Like, what is this? Like, why are you not at the net? But what would happen, I start seeing, of course, this is my experience on tour with people who have good serves. But if you have a partner who does not have a good serve, and you have your partner here and they're just continuing to get crushed because they're just hitting the returns at them, just bring them back. It's fine. I mean, again, in the end, it's not something you want to live on and do it every day and not making your sort of meat and potatoes doubles strategy. But if you're having a bad serving day, you're not getting your first serve in, and the opponent's crushing your partner at the net, just bring him back. Don't do it on the first serve, I don't think, unless your serve is really, really bad. Just kind of do it on the second serve. And then the other one that I think you want me to talk about is two back on serve. So it's this. It's your partner is back here, and the reason I did this, I'll set it up. This was a high school match, and this girl had a pretty good forehand volley. Her backhand volley was bad. She just like would do this and it goes straight up. If I put her here, the opponent would return to her, and she would pop out the backhand volley, and we'd lose the point. But if I put her here, then I've hidden her, right? So now she's not going to get the backhand volley. But so this girl was going to get the next ball. So she would hit her serve wherever the ball was. The next ball, she was going to get it, and then she was running into the net. Now she would hit her big forehand, and then she would be able to poach with a forehand volley. So this helped us win the Connecticut State Championships for that team. Forget what year that was, 2015 or 2016.
That's all. So you coached a high school team.
I did, yeah. I coached it. I like coaching. I really have loved this part of my journey, tennis journey, the coaching part. I really do enjoy it. So yeah.
Now, would you always have a run in, or would she stay back sometimes too? When
we mix it up. There? So it depended on her volley was not always. It had days, right? Some days it was good, some days it was bad, and then we would save it for like big points. So I would bring her back on. If it was a long game, like they couldn't hold it. Finally, they get a game point. Then we would run that play. Mm-hmm. You always want to run your plays. Keep things in your pocket for when you need them, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to use your best material early in the match.
Yeah.
Save it for when it really matters.
Yeah. Can you show that formation again? Because I just want people to make sure they really understand this. So another way you could probably run it. Yeah. Go ahead. No, you go.
You can do it both sides. Yeah. No. So that's a server, and that's the server's partner. Instead of them being here, they come over here. Mm-hmm. And then you just serve and then play out the point. When they return, as they're returning, this person gets the next ball. Usually they're not going to hit it this way. If they do, that's fine. They can still go hit the next ball. Might be in trouble here, but usually the return comes somewhere over here, and then they're running forward while this person's hitting the next ball.
Yeah, and you can just bring that format. Just start it again. So I have one other idea with that format. So where you start, because another way, and you can overrule me if you think differently, Gigi, but another way you guys can run it too is, let's say you guys both have strong forehands. The server could serve it in, hit forehands down the line if you're righty, and then the other one, they can kind of hide their backhand and hit inside out forehands. You got double forehands the whole point.
And stay two back. Yeah, you can stay two back. Absolutely.
Yeah, if you guys like to. So I mean, there's so many different things you can do, and a lot of people.
If you're a righty lefty combination, this is another one, right? If you're righty lefty combination, and normally, let's say righty. So think of Mike and Bob, right? They could have done this, so they would be with the forehands in the middle. They always wanted to have the forehands in the middle. So if you're playing where the backhands are in the middle, then do that where you have the forehands in the middle, and then just go there and stay back.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. So there's so many things you guys can do with that. Guys, ask questions as you see all this stuff. And I don't know if I put your affiliate link in yet, Gigi. I'm going to put it in. Remember, Gigi
Okay,
If
can
you,
I just say something?
yeah,
If anybody on this call has not paid $67 to Pete for all this work, that's a real shame because there is so much information here and so much great material. And whether at some point, if you went to Tennis Con 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and you haven't paid yet, shame on you.
oh wow.
Give Peter $67. That was a shameless plug, Pete. But you know what I mean.
Well,
I mean,
thank you.
it really is. You do a lot of work. It's this thing. We're talking about this for 6 months now. I mean, it really is
Yeah,
for year long, and it's
yeah.
such great value.
Well,
It's so worth it. So
I,
thank you for everybody who did pay.
yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you, guys. Remember, today you also get a towel. Do you see the
The
back?
towel.
Isn't that nice? That's a nice towel.
It's so cute.
See,
You're in love with this towel.
I love the towel. I do. I do. One of my campers brought me actually a hyper focus camp towel, and I'm like, oh my gosh, we have to make these for TennisCon 7. So yeah, you get a towel if you sign up. Email me your address. If you're already signed up and you're on this live stream, email your address. I'll sign it. I'll send it out. And yeah, so I think we have. Let's do one more
Any
formation.
questions? Which one?
Well, I think you had
You got
another
one?
unique one. Do you have
The
one?
two back. No, I think I did them all. There's Australian I formation, the two back ball serving, and then the unorthodox, which is this one. I gave
Okay.
you
Well,
four.
how about this? How about this? How about we do, and then we'll finish with this. Your favorite returns for big points and break points against recreational teams.
Favorite return.
Like, what do you like to tell people to do on big points?
Get the ball over the net.
Yeah.
So it just depends on the level, right? Because for me, when I was playing, so regardless of okay, so on a break point, you want to hit your best shot, right? Whatever you're most comfortable with. If you have a slice backhand and a topspin backhand, whichever one you're sure is going to go in. If you have a chip forehand, a slice forehand, whichever one. If you're not sure if you can get the forehand in, lob it. The lob return is so underutilized. I think it's so important to just get the ball in play. A lot of times, we know tennis is a game of error. 70% of all the points are going to end in an error. You just don't want that error happening on a break point. So you just got to get your return in the court. And to be successful doing that, having targets. I know we had someone yesterday on the chat that said they didn't like to have targets because I don't know what their answer was, but you got to have a target in your head. Like, but it comes with practicing with targets. Like you can't just play a match tomorrow and say, oh, I want to hit this return at this target when you haven't been doing it in practice. You have to hit the balls in practice and see where you're hitting, what target you're hitting relative to where you were aiming, right? So the best way to get accurate at something is like fold the towel in half and drop it somewhere logical, like the fourth quadrant, like here, this fourth quadrant, right? Drop it there. So, or here for the server, right? So generally speaking, that's where your returns in doubles should land, somewhere in this area. So drop a towel there and then have someone serve to you and practice returning to that spot and see how many times, how close are you getting to the towel? If you're aiming at the towel here and the ball's landing here, then aim here. If you're aiming, if it's landing here, then aim shorter, and slowly but surely you're gonna kind of shrink your scatter pattern. So then when you do this in practice and you're getting 7 or 8 or 9 balls on the towel or close to the towel, then when you go play a match and you say, okay, I got to hit that towel. Well, you've been hitting it in practice, so it should be a lot easier to hit the target than it is if you decide tomorrow to try to hit a target. Like it's not going to happen overnight.
Mm-hmm.
You have to put in the hours of repetition and
Yeah.
and I know it's hard because we make it look so easy. Pros make it look so easy because we're such conditioned machines. Like everything's the same, and it's like
Yeah.
repetitive. Every muscle and everything's firing at the perfect time to hit the ball in the same spot over and over again. And recreational players don't have the time to do that, or sometimes the skill. I mean, it's not that easy. But you can definitely work on your accuracy over time with targets and visuals.
Yeah. Maida is commenting. She was in Cincinnati and she said, love this comment, shrink your scatter pattern. Super positive person. A couple of questions on the towel. David says, will you send the towel to the UK? I will send the towel to the UK free. I'll send the free towel, but shipping,
Oh
I
my
think you
God.
might have to pay for the shipping. That because
No.
yeah. So shipping within reason, guys. But I'll send the towel, and if you want to pay for shipping, then I'll send the towel
Or
on
I
the
can
house.
bring it. I'm going to be at Wimbledon. I'll be at Wimbledon next year. I'll special deliver.
Oh my God! Yeah. She'll show up like
sign up for my Wimbledon. You have to sign up for my Wimbledon package.
Yeah, then she will. Can you imagine Gigi showing up at your place in like an Uber and
hand delivering the Tenniscom 7
that'd be
towel at Wimbledon?
And then Lynn says, "You're saying the towel very nice. I'm a lifetime member." Yes, Lynn, and you've signed up for so much of my stuff. I'll definitely send you a towel. So email me your address. Make sure you email me your address. I'm not a psychic. I can't just like figure out where everybody's address is unless you send it to me. So, but I figure if you're on the live stream and you're this dedicated, I want to get you a towel. All right. Do you adjust tactics relative to surface?
Yes,
Gordon Tanner.
100%. Absolutely. The slower the surface, I assume we're speaking doubles, but and the slower surfaces, obviously you have to adjust because when it's fast, serve and volley all day long, and the returns harder for people to make returns that are good. But when it's slow, it's easier to hit returns. So you have to pay a little more attention to if you're serving and volleying. I sometimes serve and approach as opposed to serve and volley. You also have to be more deliberate with your first volley. Like you really have to have a penetrating first volley on slower surfaces because the ball kind of just sits there. And I think that, one of the reasons I think Natasha and I were so good on clay, which is really kind of strange. Like we won 6 French Opens, and neither one of us was a clay court specialist. Like we were both. I mean, I was obviously a grass court player. Natasha could play on any surface, but she was not what you would call a clay court specialist with big loopy, like Ruana Pascual and Suarez or Irani and Vinci were clay court specialists who won the French Open a bunch of times, and we won it 6 times. And I think the reason for that was that our volleys were so good, and at the time, volleys still dominated. Like if you were good at the net, you still were winning. But our volleys were so good in penetrating that people couldn't really attack them as we could players who didn't have such good volleys. And their first volleys would kind of sit up a little bit, and then you could kind of take advantage of that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I definitely have to adjust based on the surface. I mean, for pros, we pretty much changed our entire game when you go to a new surface. Like I would change my serve motion for grass. You change your footwork. You change where you stand on the court, how you move. I mean, so many things are changing, which is why that clay court to hard grass court transition has always been so difficult because you only have 3 weeks between French and Wimbledon to make that adjustment. So it's always been a tough transition because you are sort of revamping your game and changing a lot of things about it.
Mm-hmm. One thing I want to also talk about on a big point, besides getting those targets down, and I was actually watching a match with you, Gigi, at the U.S. Open. I think, did you play Martina? I know you played with her, but did you play against her in the U.S. Open ever?
At the Open? No, at Wimbledon, the semifinals of Wimbledon.
All right. It was definitely U.S. Open match.
Sabatini. Could have been Sabatini.
I don't know, but I know it was big. You're playing against some well-known singles players and doubles players, but on some big points, you were throwing up the lob off the return, and you won almost every single point. And when someone hit an overhead too, you didn't panic and then try and hit your way out of it. You would just lob it again. And almost every time, even if they had 2 or 3 overheads, you and your team would turn the point around and win. And so that's another thing I want people to think about on big points. I mean, remember, she's lobbing, and everybody she's playing on the tour has a pretty good overhead. When you hit a lob, 3-5 to 4-0 players and 3-0 players certainly do not have a good overhead. They either miss it or they can't put it away. And so if you can just get that thing near the service line on a big point, so many things happen. They'll move back. They won't put it away. Or they'll move back. They'll put it there. Now all of a sudden you can hit it at their feet. It will go over their head. Their partner and them are not communicating properly. And all of a sudden they're both on the same side of the court. And you and your partner can just hit it to the open part of the court. And but it's easier said than done, because when I do camps and I say, okay, guys, let's do lob overheads, probably one of the you guys can do most everything. I'm like, hey, let's hit. You guys just rally. I mean, most people can go, okay, we can rally. But when I go to the let's practice lob and overheads, it is always the worst part of the practice
Yeah.
because
We did
people
that at
cannot
TennisCon.
lob. Yeah. People
Yeah.
cannot lob. So just
Yeah.
because it looks easy or it's the lob, or you're not really finding many videos on YouTube, like, how to lob like Roger Federer, right? You're always looking at how to hit a forehand like Roger Federer, but not many people are typing in, how to lob like this player and that player, because you just take it for granted. But if you take it for granted, then you try and do it in a match, it's not going to work. You're going to hit it short. You're going to miss it. You're going to hit it long. But if you got that thing dialed in to where you can just get it past the service box,
Yeah.
I mean, that's almost like
Yeah.
all you need to do.
money in the bank. So also what mistake people make when they're lobbing is trying to hit offensive lobs. Like offensive lobs are low in trajectory, defensive lobs are high in trajectory. You think
Yeah.
because you're lobbing and trying to push them back, you're trying to generate offense and you try to hit an offensive lob. Wrong. You want to hit a defensive lob, which is super high in trajectory, high. And I loved what you did at TennisCon Live when we had one full session of 45 minutes on how to lob return. It was awesome. It was like basically it's your volley grip. You hold the racket there and then you just bump it up. There's no swinging on this. There's no backswing. It's just like we're just gonna bump up the ball, and you're gonna use the power of the ball of the serve to create your lob. And then hopefully you follow it in. That's a sometimes mistake people make, that when they lob, they
Yeah.
don't come in.
Yeah, a great way to practice a lob, guys, is maybe do some volleys near the service line or maybe a little behind it. Get your volley technique going, get it solid, and then just open up the blade a little bit and then just practice lobbing it down the line, because it's a very similar feeling to the volley. If you're doing much different than you would on a good volley, you're not going to be able to control the lob. You'll hit some good and some will be a disaster. But if you can consistently just do this and then you lift it, now all of a sudden it's like Gigi says, it's money.
And that's literally how long the swing is, from here to here. There's no more. Like if you're going, forget it. It's like from there to there. That's it.
Yep. Well, Gigi, I think this is really fun. You guys, if you have any last second questions, you can ask them. But I just want to remind people, one thing Gigi and I did really cool last year, just full disclosure, this was actually Gigi's idea. She's like, hey, let's do something called TennisCon Live. Let's call it TennisCon Live. I'm just going to put this in solo layout here.
This came from, like, I was watching BravoCon Live on TV, which is a Bravo, for the reality show. People are on that. But this is actually learning.
Yeah.
Tennis,
yeah.
It's a fun camp. We have 4 days nonstop. We had a lot of great coaches there, and it was so much. I learned. Even I learned. It was so fun.
Yeah, everybody did. I mean, there were great coaches, and right now, you see, last year people paid $34.50, and during TennisCon, if you apply, and I'll give you guys a call, you can get in for $25.50, and so if
it's
you're
a no-brainer. Like, just apply, because if you think you might want to go, just go ahead and apply.
Yeah,
just you'll save $1,000.
Yeah, you save $1,000, and let's see, we had let's just go through some of the coach. We had Kevin Garlington, who was great. We had John Craig, super nice guy. Jorge Capistani, Master Pro. He really is excellent.
He's awesome.
Yeah, he is awesome. And then
that's last year. Was it last year?
That's last year. Yeah. So that's another thing, guys. Maybe we could do some comments this year. Out of all the coaches, who would you like to see at TennisCon Live? Out of everybody, all 40 coaches that we have. Yeah, comment below. We had my buddy Maribon. Is he not the nicest guy that's ever walked the planet? He's great. And we were going to have Carew, but he couldn't do it. Jeff Greenwald, excellent player, one of the best players over 50, and just really good coach. We had Gigi, of course.
And we had Ryan.
There he is, right there.
Ryan. Yeah, he came.
Ryan. Yeah. So when you're going through your sessions, you should see a big banner that says TennisCon Live. If you click on that, you can apply, and then I'll call you and we'll see if it works out.
We need to have a little meter going to see who's getting the most votes.
Yeah, let us know who you guys think. And Sterling says, can we pay in installments? Yes, we actually do installments that we're gonna do. I think what do we agree on, Gigi? Was it a 1,000 to start to get in? We can talk about it
We
offline.
have, yeah, whatever, it doesn't matter.
There's some installments. There are installments.
Yeah.
So yes, you don't have to pay it all at once. Yeah, we don't take the full payment at once.
Oh, and then also this year we're gonna give one thing we did this year. We should probably let them know. Like this year, we're gonna give people the flexibility of where to stay because the price that was $34.50 was pretty high because the place where we play at was pretty expensive. So there's certainly cheaper options around there, Hampton Inn, Holiday Inns that are not the Innisbrook Resort. So, so part of the reason the price is coming down so much is because you have the flexibility of staying where you want. It's still coming down overall, but I just want a disclaimer on that.
So Jennifer said
Airbnb, bring some friends, stay with friends, and not have to pay for housing. So all that,
that's a great idea. Jennifer says the last year's TennisCon Live was great. She was there. John, who I'd love you to come, buddy, because he's a great guy.
John, how are you? My God, I've seen John in like
he is such
7,
a good
8
guy.
years. And Tampa, Florida, April 18 to 21.
Innisbrook Resort, guys. And remember, when you get a free, when you sign up to become a lifetime member, we're going to pick one person to come for free. We're going to raffle that off. So, yeah. Oh, Gordon is obsessed with this Ukrainian coach. So he loves him. I don't know if you've seen it. Have you heard?
Sorry.
He did a video. He did a pretty good video. No one else has commented on who they'd like to see at TennisCon Live. But anyway.
We're going to send you a form with all the names and people and vote. I'll create that.
Okay, cool.
See who wins.
Guys, that's it for today. We're going to be back. Gigi, we back tomorrow?
Yeah, be back tomorrow.
We're back tomorrow. So we'll be doing about 30 to 40 minutes a day, lunchtime with Gigi, double secrets. And so thank you guys and enjoy the sessions. Make sure you're seeing all the sessions. If you haven't opened your email yet, open your email. And if you can't log into something, if you're a lifetime member, email me. I'll get you set up. Want to make sure you're happy. You guys have a good day.